Okay, guys, today we're going to talk about responsive web design. It's a general guide uh, for beginners. We're going to talk about what it is, why you need it, and how to implement it on your website. First, we're going to go through some introductions. My name is Tyler Horvath. I'm the CEO of Titan Media. We are a web design and online marketing agency here in Kansas City. I have added all of our social media profiles if you want to click those and check us out. We'd love some likes. So let's get to it. So what is responsive web design? Well, responsive web design, it's become more and more popular since people can now access websites pretty much from any device. This includes mobile phones, TVs, tablets, pretty much anything that has an internet connection now. You can reach websites from it. So the problem that this brings up is many websites these days are not formatted correctly to work on mobile devices. So there's been a big push in small businesses and large businesses to make their website work on any device. And that is what responsive web design is. So it uses a few pieces. There's fluid layout, media queries, and fluid images. And pretty much these three things make up a responsive website. And we're going to go through how to do these and how to implement them to make your website responsive. So why do you need responsive design? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Here are a few good ones. For one, it's good for SEO. That's search engine optimization. And it's good for SEO because Google and other search engines, they can tell if your website's responsive or not. And it's 2016, and they expect that any legitimate business or company has a responsive website, and they're going to rank the ones that are responsive higher than the ones that aren't. So it's very important to look at getting your website responsive if it's not. Another reason is that more and more visitors are now accessing your website from mobile devices. And as you see this little stat here on the right, 62% of companies that design a website specifically for mobile had an increase in sales. And the reason this is important is because people are taking to their phones now to research companies and find companies and services around them. So if they find your website and it doesn't work on mobile, it's highly likely that they're going to leave and go find the next company that is mobile friendly to use their services. Another great reason that you should have a responsive website is that it will increase your conversions. If you have a website that works on mobile, it's more likely that people are going to come to your website and stay, and it's also likely that you're going to get more conversions because people are going to stay on your website, and if you have a website that works on mobile, they're more likely to take action. And that comes to the last point as well. Responsive web design gives you better engagement from your users, and that means people clicking around more, filling out more forms, engaging in your website more, which is what you want. And all these things are why you should have responsive websites. So how do you make your website responsive? Well, we listed the three major ways to do that here, the three major pieces that make together a responsive website. So first, it's having fluid layouts, and that's changing all your fixed widths to percentage widths. The next is responsive images, and that's optimizing your images to be able to work on any device and grow and shrink depending on what the device is. And lastly is media queries, and this is CSS, Cascading Style Sheets, and pretty much tells the browser what to show and hide based off what device you're accessing the website from. So we're going to get a little more in depth with these. So fluid layouts. Pretty much with fluid layouts, you're converting from a fixed width to a fluid width. So back in the old days, people would make websites and every width would have a certain pixel. So as you can see from this image here, our header is 1024 pixels, the main content area is 714 pixels, and the sidebar is 300 pixels. Now if you were to open this on a mobile device, it would not work because a mobile device is around 350, 400 pixels depending on the device. So as you can see here, it would maybe only show some of the left side of this page. So that will not work. So in order to convert your site to fluid layouts, you have to change all your widths from set pixels to percentages. So as you can see from this example here, we have now our header will be 100% width. That means it will go 100% of the device, no matter what device it is. And the main content is 70% and the sidebar is 30%. So this will, instead of giving an exact pixel, you're giving a percentage. So it's saying only cover 70% of the screen, only cover 30% of the screen. And this way, your website will grow and shrink depending on what device a user is accessing it from. And in order to do this, you have to use some CSS media queries to arrange, hide, and show content depending on where the user or what the user's device is. The next piece is having responsive images, and this is really important because a lot of people just use the biggest image they can and make it adaptive, and it'll grow and shrink depending on the device. But the problem is if you make your image really large and someone's accessing your website from a mobile device, it's going to have to load that really large image, which is not good for site speed and not good for SEO. So what are adaptive images? Well, they're the most widely used responsive image function that's out there right now. If you have a WordPress site or you're using Bootstrap, all your images are automatically adaptive and you don't really have to worry about anything. So what adaptive is it just gives your image 100% width so it can adapt to the container that it's inside. So if your container is 30% width and your image is 100, that means it'll expand the 100 of that 30%. There are a few ways that this can mess up your website. Like I was mentioning before, if you use only large images and expect that when mobile visitors come, they'll see that same image, that's going to cause you some problems with site speed and people having to load these large images from Wi-Fi or 3G or whatever they're on. Another method that's kind of newer is HISRC, and this method uses JavaScript, and what it does is it figures out what the user's internet speed is, and it will show images based on their internet speed. So like I was talking about before, where if a website image is trying to load on a mobile and it's large, it's going to take a long time. So what this HISRC will do is if the user is on a mobile device but it's on a fast Wi-Fi connection, it will show the large image that's more high quality. But if they're on, let's say, a 3G connection or even lower, it's going to grab a lower resolution image that doesn't take as long to load. We usually stick with just adaptive images, even though they're not 100% foolproof. They're pretty good, and they have minimal cons about them. So the next piece, and possibly the most important, are media queries. These are CSS-based rules for device-specific user experiences. So CSS media queries are somewhat new with the whole responsive website thing. They give you device-specific rules for showing, hiding, or moving content that allows for a better user experience for each specific device. Because each device and browser renders websites differently, it's important to have specific instructions for each device and how it should show or hide your website. We've shown a little example here at the bottom of a media query. So this media query is for smartphones. So it's looking inside here and it's saying, okay, Of the devices that the minimum width is 320 and the maximum is 480, which is most smartphones, do all these CSS styles. So we've had an example here that just has a button class and is hiding it. So for this example, if a smartphone, whether it's portrait or landscape, comes to our website, it's going to hide this button class. This is a very simple example, but we just wanted to give you an idea of what media queries are and kind of what you can do with them. So another example, since we were just talking about responsive images, would be adding a CSS style here where if a smartphone, whether it's portrait or landscape, visited your website, you could possibly even show a different sized image that would allow for better optimized SEO and faster load times. And that's just one example of what you could do with media queries. So when you put it all together, you get a responsive website. This is just a basic example, a basic walkthrough of responsive websites. But today, it's quite easy to get a responsive website. See here we have our WordPress icon. Oops. Like I said before, most WordPress themes are now are fluid and responsive websites, but be sure to make sure when you're downloading, because some of them are not responsive. Another great resource is Bootstrap. We use that a lot. It's a responsive website framework that you can easily install on your website, and it makes it quite simple to make your whole website and images responsive. So wrapping up today, we've talked about responsive websites and what comprises of responsive websites, why you need them, and the three main areas of making your website responsive, which are fluid layouts, responsive images, and media queries. So wrapping up, it's very important that your website be responsive. If not, you're probably losing out on a lot of visitors and a lot of customers that are possibly visiting your site and seeing that it doesn't work on mobile and leaving. And as you see here, I'm the CEO of Titan Media, and we make responsive websites for thousands of customers all across the United States and the world. If you want to follow us, here are our social profiles. We're always posting good content and great stuff for small business owners. So if you're a small business owner or looking to get great SEO and web design content, follow us or visit our website and read our blog. Got a lot of great stuff on there. And thanks for listening.